Welcome to Microsoft Excel 2010, Lesson 10 with Megan Reese. In this assignment, you will do a lot of review, but also some new and exciting features that you haven't used before. Some of the things you will be reviewing will be merging cells, formatting text, wrapping text, and using simple formulas, adding, subtracting, multiply, and divide. You will be expected to change font and font colors, center things horizontally and vertically, and underline, as well as add gradients to backgrounds. If you don't know how to do these things, you might want to go back to previous lessons and review, because they will not be taught in this video. The new things we will be learning how to do in this video will be labeling ranges, conditional formatting, data validation, VLOOKUP tables, and inserting images. Let's go ahead and get started. As you can see, the lesson you're looking at is not exactly the same as the one you will be doing. I will not be walking you through it step by step, but only showing you the features that are new. So make sure that you follow along closely as you go through your own assignment. One part of review that I want to make sure I go over is that you will at one point be asked to change your font size to size 8. We've covered this in previous lessons, but make sure that when you do that, you highlight the rows and change it to size 8. If you don't do it that way, and you highlight just the words and not the rows, it will change the font size but not the size of the cells. So make sure you do that correctly, otherwise it will not fit on one page. We will be starting at number 4 in your assignment sheet, where we talk about data validation. In this document, we're going to create a pull-down menu. Now, if you look at your sheet 2, you will find that you have a list of numbers and prices. In my case, it means the size of the bar. I'm doing a soap business, yours is a crocheting business, but the size of how many ounces are in the bar and what each ounce costs. So before I can start, I need to label this range. So I'm going to label 2 different ranges. First, I'm going to highlight the 2, 4, 6, and in your assignment it's different numbers, but you're going to highlight those, I think it's words in your assignment. You're going to highlight those and you're going to give them a name. And I'm going to call mine size. So now you'll notice if I highlight that, it's now named size. That range has a name, which will be recognized when I'm using formulas. Now I'm going to highlight the whole thing and call this one price. And now I have a range that's my size and a range that's price. And you're going to see where that comes into handy. One of those we're going to use with data validation. The other we'll use with our VLOOKUP table. So on sheet 1, we're going to go back to size, and we're going to make a pull-down menu so you can choose from a list. So in order to do that, you're going to go to you're going to go to data, make sure you're in the right cell, and we're going to go to data validation and data validation again. And we're going to choose list. And then it asks for your source, and your source it's asking you, where's this list? Where am I going to get my numbers? Well, we just told it, so I'm going to click on this button. And I like to just go in and highlight it this way, so I'm sure I get it. There's my size, or you could just do equals size, okay? And now it's found my source is size, and I click OK, and now you'll notice there's a pull-down menu. And you just pull it down like this, so that on every one of these, I have that pull-down menu, and they can choose from that list. Now you might say, well, why don't we just type it in by hand? Why should it matter if we have a pull-down menu or not? Well, that's because of our VLOOKUP table that we're going to put on the next one. So the next one is our VLOOKUP table for base cost. If you go back here, we know that if the bar has 2 ounces in it, it costs $1 to make. So we want to set it up so that as soon as we enter a size, it's going to figure out the cost for us. So we're going to do equals. And what a VLOOKUP table does, let me point this out. VLOOKUP table will look up the number and then spit out the cost. So if you're like, well, if a 2 equals this, a 3 equals this, a 4 equals that, it will find that number for you. So it sets it up. And I've used VLOOKUP tables a lot as a teacher, and you'll kind of see it as we do it. We're going to do equals and then type in VLOOKUP. Now it's very useful when you enter in a more complicated formula or function, and this is the most complicated function we've probably done. It shows you what needs to go in each section. There actually are 4 elements. First it says lookup value, and that's basically saying, what am I looking up? Well, we're looking up the 2, okay? So we're going to find the 2, and then it says, where's the table that it's listed at? And we're going to type the name that we typed in, which was price, Okay, and you'll see it came up right there, price. That's the one that we picked. Okay, then that's that table that has the two sides. Then to ask for the table array, in other words, or excuse me, the column index number, which column are we looking at? Okay, so if you look at this, it's in column 2, so it's going to look up the 2 and spit out what's next to it in the second column. So we're going to type in, oops, sorry about that. We're going to type in a 2. And then the next one is you either type true or false. True if it's approximate, false if it's exact. We want it to be exact, so I'm going to type false. And now I need to change this to dollar signs. So I'm going to go to home and change it to dollars. But when I pull this down, it automatically figures it out. So if I go in here and say, oh, this is actually a 6-ounce bar, it will automatically fix the cost for me, which can really save you a lot of time if this is a really long list. So that is how you do a VLOOKUP table and a data validation. Now there are a lot more formulas you're going to do in here that I'm not going to go through each one, but it's going to ask you to do things similar to this. Let's delete that and show you this one again. So production cost. It's the base is $1, and then the inserts, the things that I stick in the soap, cost me $1.50. So it's equals this plus this equals my production cost. You're going to have something similar in your assignment. So it cost me $2.50 to make this bar of soap. I'm going to sell it for $6, so I want to know what my profit is. It's my sales price minus my production cost. So even though I'm selling it for $6, I'm only making $3.50. And you can see I've already got a problem here. They've got -50, so I'm not charging enough for this one. It costs a lot more than that to make. So I'm going to go ahead and charge more for that. Okay, and I really haven't put a lot of thought into these numbers as I entered them since it's an example. But anyway, and then I have my monthly sales. My total profit, if it costs me $3.50 to make it, and I sold one, then I make that much money. Pull it down, and you can see there are some that I made a lot more money on than others. So you're going to do some similar math to that. The assignment does take you through that and tells you exactly what to do. But it's simple: adding, subtracting, multiply. And that's one of the things I warned you about that you're going to have to already know how to do. You'll also need to know how to do auto sums on several of these, so you can add up your total for each amount. Okay, so in this case, I had 54 sales and made $91 or whatever. Okay, the next thing I want to look at is whether my profit is really helping me out. And so I'm going to use a conditional formatting for that. So I want to know by just a glance, be able to just look at it and see, okay, this one, and you can see that I'm not making a lot of profit on some of these, and others I'm making good profit on. So I want to do it visually. I want to be able to just look at it and say, okay, those are the good ones, those are the bad ones. So I'm going to highlight this area, and I'm going to stay in my home ribbon and go to conditional formatting. Now there's a lot of things you can do with conditional formatting, and you might want to play with that, but we're just going to do the simple highlight cells rules. Okay, so I'm going to go to highlight cells and say greater than. So anything that's making me more than $3 a piece, I want to be green, because that means, yay, that's good. Okay, now you're seeing it's highlighted. Okay, I know those are my big sellers. Those are the ones that I'm making the most money on. Then I'm going to go have it still highlighted, and I'm going to go to less than. Well, if I'm making less than $2 on it, I probably need to revisit my prices. And so I can tell at a glance which ones aren't making a lot of money. I need to either discontinue that one, or maybe raise the price for it, or somehow lower what it's making, whatever that might be. So that's how you do conditional formatting. The last thing we're going to talk about is inserting an image, and this isn't super difficult. If you've used Word or PowerPoint, then this should be really easy, but you're going to go to Insert Picture, and then find wherever it is that you've saved it. And it's going to insert it. And just know that when you insert an image into this program, you can't put it behind text or in front of text or have the text move for it. It's pretty straightforward. It is where you put it. You can resize it. In the assignment, I believe it asked you to put it on that one. And then you can put it where it tells you to in the assignment. But that's how you insert a picture. Again, very simple and straightforward. Make sure that it fits on one page. That's an absolute necessity for this assignment. If for some reason it still doesn't fit and you feel like you follow the directions as best you can use AutoFit, where you click on the selection button, the worksheet selection button here, and you go over to Format, and then just do column width, or excuse me, format auto fit column width, and then it will make it fit on one page. You shouldn't have to do that if you follow the directions, but if you need to, go ahead and do that. And that completes the instructions for lesson 10. There is a lot more to the assignment, but it's all review that you should be able to do, and it's a good chance to see if you really have learned the things that we've been doing in these 10 assignments. I hope that you have become much better at Excel. If you go back to assignment 1 and see how far you've come since then, I know that you've learned a lot more. So thank you so much for joining us.